As a skeleton, I never would have thought I'd be forcibly taken in by a wealthy demon matriarch. She would even spend a great fortune to help me recover my physical body. All for the sake of continuing her family line in the future. This was all because I, with my low-tier bloodline, managed to kill an epic-grade bloodline holder. Originally, I was a max-level Hell Asura in the world of the Huan Yu game. Even the top-tier experts of the human faction were like ants in my eyes. However, just as I had killed them all and was about to log off, the system suddenly displayed a string of garbled code. When I woke up, I found that I hadn't returned to reality but had appeared in a mass grave. And my level had been reset to 1. As I was pondering what had happened, a sinister laugh suddenly interrupted my thoughts. It seems my summoning was a success. Seeing someone, I eagerly asked him where we were. The summoner, Wang Ming, was stunned that I could speak. Had he summoned a rare type of skeleton guard? When he didn't answer, I decided to leave and find an NPC to ask. But seeing my action, he flew into a rage. He couldn't accept a creature he summoned ignoring him. He began to chant a spell, and countless iron chains burst forth from the formation behind him, instantly immobilizing me. He then reached out, intending to erase my consciousness and make me his loyal slave. Suddenly, a massive figure descended from the sky, and the terrifying shockwave sent me flying. The next scene made my jaw drop. A giant creature with 3 question marks above its head walked past, and beneath its feet was the corpse of the summoner, Wang Ming. Seeing this, I instantly understood I was definitely not in a starter village. Later, from the Guide Elite, I learned that this was the birthplace of all high-level bosses in the Huan Yu game and also the most dangerous area. Fortunately, the nearest quest point wasn't far. Under the elf's guidance, I finally arrived at Shui City. Seeing the long queue to enter the city, I couldn't understand why they didn't use the small gate on the right. Clever as I was, I unhesitatingly stepped through that gate. It was only after I entered that I discovered it was hosting a life or death tournament. The participants were all powerful prodigies, and I had stumbled right in and joined the competition. Seeing that I was only level 1, everyone assumed I was just cannon fodder. At that moment, the host announced the rules, because one contestant was only level 1. All contestants' levels would be adjusted to 10 for this competition. Participants could freely choose their class. I chose Assassin without hesitation. After all, I was once known as the server's #1 assassin. The host then announced the rewards. Outstanding performers would have the chance to be taken as disciples by the 2 great powers of Blood Moon City. One was the renowned Hall Master of North Mountain Hall, Zhuang Weishui, and the other was Blood Moon City's #1 witch, Wu Yu. Her only disciple was Han Yishao, the 10-time winner of the tournament. Hearing this, my heart skipped a beat. A clue about my big brother had finally appeared. My big brother had disappeared completely after entering this game. After learning this, my third brother and I entered the game together to find him. It seemed this woman, Wu Yu, definitely knew his whereabouts. I had to find a way to get close to her. However, the ice-cold Wu Yu, seeing me staring at her, felt the urge to crush me to death in public. The host then declared the start of the tournament. The first match featured the seeded contestant, Xie Zhu of the Xie Shi clan. Relying on the suppression of his high-tier bloodline, he defeated his opponent with a single casual strike. The great sword warrior, Bei Lei, in the second match was no weaker, cutting his opponent in half at the waist with 1 slash. The dual-wielding demon, Zhe, in the third match also won easily. What no one expected was that the winner of the fourth match would be me, the skeleton labeled as cannon fodder. Next up was the second round of semifinals. My opponent was the dual-wielding demon, Zhe. As soon as he got on stage, he told me to surrender. A piece of trash like you isn't even worthy of me making a move. Because I was busy thinking about how to win over the boss Wu Yu, I had no idea what he was yapping about. Seeing that I didn't intend to surrender, the corner of his mouth curved up slightly. You've missed your only chance to live. But don't worry, I'll give you a quick death. With that, he unleashed a cross slash and charged at me. I easily dodged it. However, Zhe thought I was just lucky. He then channeled power into both his hands, and 2 terrifying sword auras shot towards me. Yet again, I dodged them with ease. The host who witnessed this couldn't help but be amazed. How did this cannon fodder contestant manage to dodge Zhe's swift attacks continuously? It was because I had already seen through my opponent's weakness. Based on the length of his arms and weapons, I accurately determined his attack range. As long as I maintained a distance of 2.5 meters, I would be safe. Moreover, he had a moment of stiffness when casting skills. If I could seize that moment to counterattack, I would win. The audience started to question Jae-er. Are you throwing the match? How can you not even handle a small skeleton? Hearing this, Jae-er became furious and desperate to chop me into pieces. He leapt up and launched a lunge at me. However, this move was exactly what I was waiting for. I seized the opportunity and used the skill, Comet Strike. And just like that, the dual-wielding demon Jae-er fell. The host was so shocked he was speechless, and the audience erupted in cheers. But I still hadn't earned the approval of Blood Moon City's two powerhouses. They just thought I was slightly clever. In their eyes, the Skeleton Clan's bloodline was the lowest of the low. Meanwhile, on the other side of the arena, Xie faced off against Bei Lei. Bei Lei, wielding his greatsword, transformed into a flowing tide and charged at Xie. However, Xie didn't dodge, letting the greatsword swing at him. Just as Bei Lei thought he had succeeded, Xie mockingly smiled. The gap in our bloodlines is an abyss you can never cross. As he spoke, he caught Bei Lei's greatsword with his teeth, and the massive blade shattered under his immense bite force. Xie then unleashed Bursting Mad Claw, striking Bei Lei. Seeing Bei Lei lying on the ground, lifeless, Xie became cocky. I thought you had some skill, but you're just trash. Zhuang Weishui immediately took a liking to him, feeling he had potential worth cultivating. But Wu Yu thought he wasn't even fit to be her gatekeeper. At this moment, I was staring at Xie, lost in thought. The uniformly distributed weapons shouldn't be damaged so easily, unless this lion's stats were far above average. Xie then turned his gaze to me, taunting, "Lowly trash, don't tell me you're too scared to come on stage? This great master isn't done playing yet." I knew I had almost no chance against him, but if I didn't win this match, I couldn't get close to that woman and get clues about my big brother. Wu Yu, however, was looking forward to me continuing the fight. After some thought, I decided to go on stage for the duel. Seeing I dared to come up, Xie let out a wild laugh. Lowly creatures are so stupid. Just a little provocation and they fall for it. I'll chew your bones one by one and have them as a dessert to celebrate my victory. Hearing this, my eyes narrowed. It seems your yapping skills are quite something. With that, I turned into a streak of light and shot towards him. Xie stood his ground, not dodging, and laughed that my speed was slower than Bei Lei's. But just as he reached out to block me, I teleported behind him. Yet, this lightning-fast move was still caught by him. He bent over and dodged my attack, failing to land a hit. I quickly pulled back. In the next second, Xieju's attack followed. Luckily, I pulled away in time and narrowly dodged the blow. Even in speed, my greatest strength, I had no advantage. All of his stats were likely much higher than mine. Just then, Xie discovered a cut on his face. He couldn't accept being wounded by a lowly creature. So, he used his trump card without reservation, boosting his speed, strength, and critical hit rate by 20% for 15 seconds. Seeing this, Wu Yu looked forward to my next move with anticipation. The moment Xie moved, he caused a violent explosion and appeared before me in the blink of an eye. Unable to react, I hurriedly used my dagger to block. The force was so great it sent me flying back hundreds of meters. But just as I stabilized myself, his Bursting Mad Claw was already upon me. Seeing this, I fully revealed my hidden strength. The moment the Backstab skill activated, my stealth turned into a phantom image. In the next second, my figure appeared behind Xie. This is the moment I was waiting for. I bet you can't turn around when you use this skill. But Xie just laughed. A good calculation, but unfortunately, it's useless against me. He let out a furious roar, and a force instantly froze me in place. Unable to move, the host was dumbfounded by this scene. The Xie clan's exclusive bloodline skill, Blood Rage Lion's Roar, had appeared. It could stun opponents within a 5-meter radius for 2.5 seconds. Even Zhuang Weishui couldn't help but praise him. However, Wu Yu beside him was a bit disappointed in me. Is that all you have? Xieju's attack landed, instantly costing me my right arm. As I pulled away, my right leg bone also snapped. Xie Zhu laughed wildly. Now, how do you want to die? Little did he know, this was all still within my control. The moment he stepped on my broken leg bone, my chance for a counterattack had finally come. I threw the dagger in my hand at him, and at the same time, my severed arm behind him also moved. He easily blocked the attack, thinking I was just struggling in my death throes, completely unaware of what was behind him. I then activated the skill, Backstab, twice. My figures attacked from both the front and back simultaneously. In an instant, a dagger pierced through his body from behind. In the next second, he collapsed to the ground. At this moment, the audience was completely silent. Even Wu Yu and Zhuang Weishui were shocked. Xie Zhu began to desperately cry out to the crowd for help. But just as I raised my hand to deliver the final blow, Zhuang Weishui on the platform suddenly snorted coldly and appeared in front of Xie Zhu in the blink of an eye. He slowly raised his right hand and gently clenched it. My body was instantly disintegrated by a terrifying force, leaving only my head. Suddenly, a slender jade hand blocked the force that was disintegrating me. Wu Yu held my fragmented body in her hand, as a dark energy gathered at her fingertips. This was one of her signature skills, Azure Sky Finger. With the point of her finger, a terrifying beam of dark energy shot out, blasting a huge hole in the arena's city wall. Zhuang Weishui now looked extremely battered, with a large wound blasted into his right arm. After doing all this, Wu Yu immediately began to reconstruct my body and declared domineeringly, "From now on, he is my private property." Soon, my body was fully reconstructed. I looked at my body in disbelief, finding it even sturdier than before. Wu Yu's fingertips began to gather dark energy again. She turned her head and said with a grin to the two announcer rabbits, "If you don't announce the result, I'll give you two a taste of this as well." The rabbit announcers broke into a cold sweat and, forgetting all procedure, hurriedly declared me the champion of the tournament. The 5,000 experience points I was awarded instantly raised my level to 15. And I learned the skill, Shadow Step, permanently increasing my agility by 20%. The other reward was a level 15 epic dagger. After identification, its special attribute was a rare lifesteal property. The rabbit announcers looked on with envy. Just then, Wu Yu reminded them to start the Fengyun festival. I was also confused. Wasn't this competition over? The host rabbit immediately explained that the tournament has two parts. After a champion is selected in the first part, the arena competition, the second part, the Fengyun festival, begins. The champion will descend upon the player world as a limited time boss. The number of players killed within the limited 8 hours determines the amount of experience and contribution points earned. Contribution points can be exchanged for high-level skills, and with enough points, one can even get a promotion. At this time, the disheveled Zhuang Weishui came over to taunt Wu Yu. "I will report this to the city lord. You just want to get rid of me, seize military resources, and then rebel." Wu Yu was instantly enraged. "You old bastard, you were the one who interrupted the tournament. And now you dare to slander me? Believe it or not, the next time you go to war, I'll cut off your military funds and then your supplies." Seeing that they were about to fight, the rabbit announcers and I quickly slipped away to prepare for the next event. If they really started fighting, half the city would probably be destroyed. However, Wu Yu's piercing gaze swept over to me. "Don't you dare embarrass me. Don't come back until you've killed at least 1,000 people." Hearing this, I quickly ran into the portal and successfully descended. The current mission was to hunt in Blood Moon City. I appeared in the player world and triggered a random achievement mission from the codex. Fulfill Wu Yu's casual remark by killing 1,000 players. Immediately, a game announcement notified all players that a limited time boss had appeared and urged them to go kill it. A few nearby players got the message and immediately spotted me. At this moment, the Omni-Purpose bracelet on my wrist activated. Current equipment quality, normal. Quality will be upgraded once every 10 levels. Upon first activation, a random class exclusive skill is gifted to the owner. Each quality upgrade will also grant a class skill. You have obtained the skill, Enemy Hunting Edge. Deals 510% physical damage to the target. If the target is killed by this skill, it will continue to strike random targets. Each enemy killed by this skill adds an additional strike with 150% damage. After reading the skill description, an idea popped into my head. If I could lower the health of a large number of enemies and then use this skill, the stacking damage would make it a god tier AoE skill. Suddenly, several players attacked me at once. I began to test my idea on them. First, I hit them with a normal attack, then used enemy hunting edge. In an instant, the 4 players were slain by my skill. I gained 400 experience points and 4 contribution points. Over the next half hour, large groups of players arrived one after another, but without exception, they all became souls under my blade. In just 30 minutes, the number of players I had killed reached 314. The ground was completely covered with dropped equipment. Sadly, I couldn't pick up the dropped equipment, so I sent the coordinates to my third brother. When he arrived and saw the scene, he was completely stunned. Meanwhile, in a certain part of the forest, a young girl had single-handedly killed a level 15 epic boss. This not only raised her level to 18 but also got her a level 15 epic wristband. Resistance, which increased all the players' stats by 10 points and gave a 20% chance to increase resistance by 20 when hit by a control skill. Watching this from the shadows, I was amazed. It was the first time I had seen a player who could solo an epic grade boss. The guide elite then informed me that the girl's class was Moonlight Knight, a hidden class of the swordsman. Suddenly, Luna noticed someone nearby. In the next second, 3 male players emerged from the bushes with malicious smiles. The bald man leading them threatened, "Hand over the purple equipment that just dropped, and we'll spare your life." Hearing this, Luna just smiled calmly. "If you have the skills, come and take it from me." At her words, the 2 henchmen drew their swords and advanced. But as Luna drew her longsword, the 2 were instantly overwhelmed by countless sword flashes. The bald man saw this and immediately realized he had picked a fight he couldn't win. But he still pretended to be calm and said, "I'm a core member of the Arrogant Guild. If you dare touch me." Before he could finish, his head was lopped off by a flash of the sword. After dealing with the 3, Luna suddenly spoke out, "Have you seen enough?" Seeing this, I stopped hiding and jumped down from the tree. At that moment, the air was thick with killing intent. However, just as we were about to fight, 2 other factions suddenly appeared around us. One was the Arrogant Guild, and the other was a group of players hunting the boss. Seeing this, Luna and I paused. After exchanging a look, I fled through the crowd of the Arrogant Guild, while Luna escaped through the boss hunters. The 2 factions immediately prepared to chase their targets, but they ended up crashing into each other. Neither side would give way, and a chaotic battle broke out. But just then, Luna and I returned. In an instant, both sides suffered heavy losses. To retaliate, they started attacking indiscriminately. Soon, everyone was left with low health. Seeing this, I immediately used enemy hunting edge. Piercing screams echoed through the forest. In the blink of an eye, the number of people I had killed reached 999. Next was the final showdown between me and Luna. In the next second, our figures shot towards each other. With a loud crash, a system notification sounded. "Congratulations on completing the random achievement quest." Back in the real world, Bai Xiaoyue took off her gaming helmet and began to record in a notebook. The notes were filled with her speculations about my various stats and skills. Her bloodline was peerless, while mine was bottom tier. To purify my bloodline, Wu Yu invited me to enter the blood pool with her. Just now, after I killed Bai Xiaoyue, I completed the 1000-Man Slayer achievement. I received a mythic grade piece of equipment, the Earring of the Phantom God, which allows the wearer to freely change their race and grants them the racial passives, talents, and language proficiency of that race. Congratulations on completing the Fengyun Festival event. You have received 1.000 contribution points. The experience reward directly boosted my level to 21, and I learned the skill, Tearing Grudge, which enhances the next normal attack to deal 180% physical damage and has a 20% chance to cause the target to bleed. When I was transported back to the tournament arena, the entire audience cheered wildly. From being cannon fodder to becoming the champion, this series of achievements made my name resound throughout the land. Seeing this, Zhuang Weishui turned and left in a huff. However, a slight smile played on Wu Yu's lips. "Not bad, you barely managed not to embarrass me." She raised her jade-like hand and tore open a dimensional rift on the spot. "Follow me." A moment later, in the secret realm of the blood pool in Blood Moon City, 2 figures stepped out of the rift. but the sight before me left me dumbfounded. Seeing my inexperienced look, Wu Yu told me, a player's stats are determined by their bloodline and the grade of their equipment. Your bloodline is of the lowest quality, but this blood pool can help you purify it. How much it purifies, however, depends on your own fortune. Meanwhile, in the North Mountain Hall, Zhuang Weishui was still fuming. If it weren't for that useless trash from the Mad Lion clan, I wouldn't have lost face in front of so many people. But an old man beside him said, "This isn't entirely a bad thing. The Mad Lion clan was already intending to join forces with you. My lord, now that you've been injured protecting their descendant, their loyalty will surely deepen. As for Wu Yu, although we can't do anything to her openly, this old servant has a way to provoke her." He then explained his plan to Zhuang Weishui, who immediately agreed. On the other side, I had already begun to absorb the power of the blood pool, and the speed of my absorption astonished even Wu Yu. But just then, the city lord's guards suddenly arrived, claiming that the city lord had ordered Wu Yu to go to the main city immediately. Wu Yu wanted to delay for a few days, but the captain produced the city lord's written order, threatening, "Those who defy the order will be executed without mercy." Seeing the token, Wu Yu finally gave in. But before leaving, she reminded me to be careful. The next moment, my absorption of the blood pool's power accelerated, forming an energy vortex above my head, with a golden orb of light slowly forming within it. As time passed, this energy began to envelop me. At the same time, several figures appeared on the mountaintop. One moment I was just a shabby little skeleton, and the next I had evolved into a man so handsome he'd put Kun to shame. Seeing this, Wu Yu's face flushed red, and she said she could grant me one wish. It turned out that just before, Zhuang Weishui, trying to regain the face he lost at the tournament, had forged the city lord's order to lure Wu Yu away. At the same time, he dispatched the number 1 shadow unit of North Mountain Hall to assassinate me. Unbeknownst to him, Wu Yu had already detected their movements but didn't stop the assassination. She simply found a perfect viewing spot and sat down. The guard captain saw this and asked what she meant by it. Wu Yu just replied lightly, "Don't be hasty, the show is about to begin." Meanwhile, an assassin slashed at the energy orb above the blood pool, but when the orb exploded, it formed an energy vortex, and a figure slowly walked out of it. The assassin was dumbfounded. I clearly just cut him. Why is he completely unharmed? We'll explain later. Finish him now. They transformed into afterimages and charged at me. But by now, my bloodline evolution was complete. My short white hair and the unique horn on my head instantly boosted my cool factor. The two assassins were shocked. Just as they were about to warn the others to be careful, they found themselves dismembered in the next second. The shadow captain saw this and was stunned. The intel said he was just a level 15 weakling. Why does he look so dangerous? He signaled for everyone to attack together. In response, I just clenched my fist. The assassins' movements instantly froze, and a large hole appeared in each of their chests. Seeing this, the shadow captain's eyes turned red with fury, and he unleashed all his trump cards and skills. But I easily deflected all these spiritual attacks. Just as he was about to launch another attack, I let out a light laugh. The shadow captain instantly sensed the aura of death and, without hesitation, bolted backward, but I still managed to slice off one of his arms. My power had far exceeded his imagination. Remembering that his shadow unit was the pride of Zhuang Weishui and the top fighting force of North Mountain Hall, he roared, "Blood sacrifice. Brothers, for the mission, sacrifice yourselves." In the next second, they all plunged their weapons into their own bodies, and their sacrificed power flowed into the shadow captain. Seeing this, I calmly activated the earring of the phantom god, and my body began to transform back into its skeleton form. Just then, the shadow captain's deadly attack was upon me, but in my skeleton form, I easily dodged the fatal blow, then seized the gap in his attack to land a horizontal slash. With that, the entire shadow unit was logged off. A pair of jade hands clapped from the side. "Not bad. It seems your bloodline has undergone a qualitative leap." These assassins were Zhuang Weishui's men. Now you can be considered to have passed my test, and those who denounced me have already been sent on their way. Suddenly, Wu Yu noticed something interesting about my body, and her face flushed red. I then realized I had been fighting naked the whole time and hurriedly covered myself with my hands. Wu Yu then said seductively that she could grant me one wish. Anything at all, but all I wanted was news of one person. Hearing this, Wu Yu felt a tinge of disappointment, but she still told me, Han Yishao is no longer here. She, who was unmatched in martial prowess, had only ever taken one disciple. Now, she had taken a liking to me, a shabby little skeleton, to reward me for successfully evolving to a top-tier bloodline. She promised to grant me any wish. Yet, I only asked for news about my big brother, Han Yishao. Hearing this, Wu Yu felt a tinge of disappointment. He is no longer here. Her words seemed to freeze the very air. After a long moment, I finally asked what had happened to him. But instead of answering, she looked impatient. That is the second question you've asked. Hearing this, I turned to leave in disappointment. Seeing this, Wu Yu quickly said, "There's no harm in telling you. But first, you must answer my question. Ever since you heard Han Yishao's name at the tournament, you've been looking at me frequently. Did you fight so desperately to win the championship just to ask about my disciple?" That's right, because he is my big brother. Not by blood, but closer than one. Since we were kids, he has always quietly looked after me and our third brother. But ever since he entered this game, he suddenly vanished from the real world. I entered this game to find him, at any cost. Hearing this, Wu Yu fell silent for a moment. Her mind drifted to a time when her disciple had asked her for 2 sets of equipment, telling her they were for his 2 younger brothers at home. Thinking of this, a warmth seemed to flow into her cold heart. She then told me what happened to Han Yishao, after he defeated the Night King and created a legend at the tournament. He entered the Fengyun festival as usual, but that time, he never came back. No one could believe it was true. Afterward, I spent a long time searching for information and found out that the last place he appeared was called Endless Purgatory. Hearing this, I excitedly asked if she could take me there. But Wu Yu sighed, saying she couldn't teleport to that place because that world was sealed off by some mysterious power. Even someone with her strength couldn't force her way in. Hearing this, I immediately suspected it was a special map in the game. I summoned CC to search for information about Endless Purgatory, but all queries failed. Panicked, I switched to the manual input interface to search the database. Now that I knew the last place my brother appeared in the game and the time he last logged off, I was sure I could find him if I just knew the location of Endless Purgatory. I quickly finished the operation. When I entered the password, a large amount of code appeared before me, including the code for the Endless Purgatory map. But the complexity of this code was something I had never seen before. Still, I tried to forcibly tamper with the code. The next second, an illegal intrusion warning popped up, warning that I would be forcibly kicked out. Then, all the original code began to rewrite itself. I watched in disbelief. Wu Yu, however, thought I just didn't believe her. That's all I know. If you don't believe me, you can go look for yourself. What had just happened made me suspect the game company was up to something. It seemed the only way to find out the truth was to go to that world myself. So, I asked Wu Yu if there was any other way to enter besides teleportation. Seeing my insistence on going to the player world, Wu Yu urged me not to be hasty. To go to the player world, you not only need to clear the special battlefield of the Fengyun Festival, but there's also a time limit. Even your big brother, Han Yishao, after purifying his bloodline in the blood pool twice, failed to return from that special space, let alone you, in your current state. As I was pondering whether to take the risk, the elf CC suddenly told me there was another way to enter the player world. I quickly told Wu Yu about this and said my goodbyes. Since you're so determined, don't forget about me when you get there. I'll be waiting here for your good news. Meanwhile, in the player world, a massive explosion instantly killed a tree monster. The one who cast this skill was my third brother, Ah Fei. He was leveling up with 3 female players, who were calling him Brother Ah Fei left and right, making him ecstatic. He learned from them that a merchant who bought equipment was nearby. So he followed the 3 girls to find this supposed merchant. However, on the way, they were surrounded by a group of players. The 3 leaders saw Ah Fei like a fat sheep. Ah Fei had previously pocketed the equipment of several hundred people all by himself. Seeing the situation, Ah Fei quickly shielded the 3 girls behind him. But in the next second, the 3 girls behind him revealed menacing looks, and 3 spiritual attacks slammed into his back. Only then did he realize it was all a trap set by the 3 girls. They were members of the Face Guild. The 3 girls acted as bait to lure in big fish. And then they would plunder all the equipment and gold from their target. Realizing the truth, Ah Fei went berserk. You can scam me for money. But scamming my feelings is not okay. Seeing that the fat sheep wasn't cooperating, the members of the Face Guild decided to use force. But the 2 leaders were instantly sent flying by Ah Fei. However, more players attacked him from behind. Ah Fei used his flame palm skill to push them back. Just then, an arrow shot towards his head. He managed to block it with his hand in time but was still knocked back several meters. Little Fox seized the opportunity and shot towards Ah Fei. The next moment, their attacks collided violently, but Ah Fei, low on mana, was clearly at a disadvantage. The girl then took out the mana potion he had given her and flaunted it in his face. Brother, you gave all your mana potions to me. Be a good boy and hand over the equipment you picked up from the boss. If you don't cooperate, we'll keep corpse camping you until we've taken everything from your inventory. Hearing this, Ah Fei knew he was done for. He started spewing a torrent of profanities at them, venting his anger. In just a few moments, a full 100 classic curses echoed through the forest. The man with glasses from the Face Guild could no longer stand it and attacked Ah Fei. Ah Fei stood there, with no intention of resisting. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind him. In the next second, several fatal wounds appeared on the man with glasses. How dare you try to take my brother's equipment? As anyone who has played games knows, the cute girl fawning over you in the game is very likely a foot-picking slob in real life. The 3 girls in front of me were men who dressed as women to steal other men's equipment. Striking from behind when the opportunity arose. They were the 3 brothers of the Scam and Deceit Guild. But just as they were about to finish off the man and take his equipment, I intervened and saved him. When the man saw my ID clearly, he immediately hugged my leg and wailed, "Second brother, you have to stand up for me." Not only did they want to steal my equipment, they also cheated my pure, innocent feelings. When the 3 girls heard him call me second brother, they became even more excited. Thinking I had even better things on me, they waved their hands, signaling their guildmates to attack. But 2.5 seconds later, not a single guild member had moved. They turned around to find that everyone had already died and logged off. The 3 were stunned. Suddenly, a voice from behind them made them jump in fright. "I heard you were going to deal with me? Why are you scared stiff now?" Hearing this, the girl started to act cute. "We were just joking with brother Ah Fei." Before they could finish speaking, my 3rd brother sent them back to the respawn point. Afterward, my 3rd brother asked if I had found any clues about our big brother. I told him that Endless Purgatory was the last place our big brother appeared. But this place doesn't exist in the game's design documents. I can only guess that it's a very high-level hidden instance. With our current strength, we can't even touch it. What we need to do now is to get stronger as quickly as possible. First, we'll go to a nearby town to deal with the equipment and items we have. Soon, we arrived at the equipment recycling center in a nearby town. The total recycling price was 95.000 gold coins. At the current exchange rate of 110, that's nearly 10.000 in cash. Just then, I gave a thumbs up to the old man's shiny bald head. "Your hairstyle is very cool." Hearing this, the old man was overjoyed. At the same time, the system notified me that I had triggered the recycler's hidden Easter egg, increasing the recycling price by 10%. It turned out to be a small Easter egg designed by one of the game company's programmers. Now, our gold coins exceeded 100.000, earning us the title, extremely wealthy. But this was just the gold from recycling green and blue equipment. Higher tier purple equipment needed to be sold at the auction house. Soon, my 3rd brother and I arrived at the largest auction house in town. But entry required carrying over 10.000 gold coins. A young man was just a few hundred gold short and was being turned away by the 2 guards. The players queuing behind him also looked at the young man with disdain, constantly urging him to get lost. But just then, my 3rd brother stepped up and said, "He's with us." Hearing this, the guards were about to humiliate us as well. But when they saw the 4 large characters of the Far Ahead title above my 3rd brother's head, their attitude immediately changed, and they respectfully welcomed us inside. After entering the auction house, the young man bowed to us and went his separate way. A curvaceous woman walked towards us. It turned out that due to my third brother's extremely wealthy title, the auction house had specially issued him a black gold card. Cardholders could enter without queuing and received a 5% commission increase when auctioning items. But when my third brother took the card, he asked if this black gold card had the privilege of walking into her heart. Seeing this, I was speechless. Suddenly, a familiar figure brushed past me. How could she be here? This was the light attribute weapon that all swordsman players dreamed of. But one sentence from the woman made all the swordsman players leave the auction house. It turned out that just before, while the auction house's guide was giving us the black gold card, I happened to spot Luna, whom I had met during the Fengyun festival mission. But before I could think too much, the guide led us to a VIP box to discuss the auction business. After all, I was auctioning top-tier epic equipment, the most sought-after items in the game. Among them, an epic light attribute weapon was at the top of the list and might even break the auction house's highest record. If you have time, you can participate in the auction and watch in person. Hearing this, my third brother immediately became interested. It would be even better if I could see Lady Red Peach at the scene. Soon, we arrived at the auction site. With a wave of the auctioneer's hand, a woman walked onto the stage carrying a burning crystal. This was a main weapon inlay-type gemstone, the Star of Scorching Fire, which could change a weapon's attribute to fire. The starting price was 10.000 gold coins. A large number of players began to bid, and in the blink of an eye, the price reached 30.000 gold coins. A man thought he had it in the bag, as the gem was only worth that much. But in the next second, another man shouted out a high price of 50.000. No one else in the auction house raised the price. The gem was finally sold for 50.000 gold coins. This, however, sparked dissatisfaction among the surrounding players. A fire attribute gem was worth less than 30.000 in player trades. Yet this man had spent twice the price to buy it. It seems a simp's money is the easiest to earn. Even my third brother, the lady killer, couldn't stand it. Why'd I find this guy, Han Shao, so annoying? The auctioneer then began to introduce the second item, a special maid outfit that could change one's gender. The starting price was a steep 30.000 gold coins. In the end, someone from the crowd won it for 48.000. But the next moment, everyone was stunned. A burly man was wearing the maid outfit he had just bought, making strange noises. The players around him were instantly dumbfounded. Seeing this, even I couldn't help but twitch my lips. The auctioneer, looking embarrassed, began to introduce the third treasure, a pair of epic boots that gave a 2% chance to enter an accelerated state when moving. The starting price was 40.000 gold coins. In the next second, the rich second-generation heir bid 80.000, doubling the price at once. This made everyone else lose the will to bid. In the end, the item was still won by the same man. The next several treasures were all bought by him. The other players started to leave the auction house, cursing, "Let's go, brothers. This simp has taken all the good stuff." But I was very happy, because I was counting on him to drive up the price of my own auctioned equipment. The auctioneer then began to announce the final main treasure of this auction, an epic light sword. What made it rarest was its light attribute attack and reduced level requirement, making it arguably the top-tier weapon at present. The starting price was 200.000 gold coins. The rich heir immediately offered 300.000. He thought no one would dare compete with him. But my third brother suddenly shouted out 400.000 gold coins. The rich heir glanced at my third brother with disdain and then unhesitatingly shouted 500.000 gold coins. But this move was exactly what we wanted. My third brother continued to drive up the price with him until it reached 900.000 gold coins. At which point the rich heir finally stopped. However, the woman beside him started to act cute. "I really like this weapon." Gritting his teeth, the rich heir shouted out 1 million. My third brother was about to continue, but I stopped him. Suddenly, a voice shocked everyone present. Looking over, it was Luna, whom I had met once before, and she had bid a sky-high price of 2 million. This left the previously arrogant rich heir completely stunned. As the auctioneer's hammer fell, the auction officially ended. Our equipment sold for a total of 2.5 million. But after getting the money, our ranking was only 7.450th. Seeing this, my third brother couldn't stay calm anymore. Damn, there are too many big spenders. But just then, a figure appeared on a tall building above us. Luna was watching my departing back with a grave expression, as if she had sensed something about me. This tribe is so bizarre. Out of 250 people in the village, 249 are monsters. But there is one person who is the key to triggering my main quest. For this reason, my third brother and I ventured into this village. It turned out that right after my third brother and I left the auction house, we headed to Bushkull village to accept the main story quest. But on the way, I suddenly stopped because I sensed someone had been following us. Come out, I know you're back there. In the next second, a female player walked out from the bushes. Recognizing her, my third brother was shocked. Isn't that the lady who bought the light sword at the auction? Is she trying to ambush us to get her money back? Hearing this, Luna repeatedly shook her head and denied it, stating she had only followed out of curiosity because the weapon was dropped when she fought a limited time boss. Hearing this, my third brother immediately started to get cocky. This weapon was dropped when my second brother killed that limited time boss. Luna was shocked. She had been looking for a chance to duel that limited time boss again. But now it had been killed by someone else. She dashed in front of me and issued a challenge for a duel. But I refused without hesitation and turned to leave. The most important thing now was to complete the main quest as quickly as possible. Hearing this, Luna felt a pang of disappointment. I must find a chance to fight him. On the way, I explained the village's storyline to my third brother. We just needed to repel the monsters besieging the village, then find the little girl with the body of holy light and escort her to the holy light to complete the quest. But when we arrived at our destination, we didn't see any monsters attacking the village, and when the villagers learned I was there for the quest to eliminate the monsters, the village chief immediately organized the villagers to give us a grand welcoming ceremony. Seeing this, I immediately suspected that the game company had adjusted this quest's storyline. But before I could think too much, we were enthusiastically pulled into a banquet by the villagers. On the way, however, I accidentally discovered that they didn't seem to be familiar with the village. They didn't even know about the village's most famous flower, the purple snow. This made me start to doubt the identity of these villagers. Soon, we arrived at the banquet. The villagers at the table were gobbling down their food, which immediately whetted my third brother's appetite. He was rubbing his stomach, ready to feast. But just then, a villager walked over with a basin of meatballs. Come, try our village's most famous meatballs.